Nuphy just refreshed their most popular low-profile lineup, the Air series. And now, in my hands, I have the brand new Air 65, Air 75 and the Air 100 V3. They sent these two over for review, and after using them in rotation for the past 2 to 3 weeks, I've got a lot to say. In this video, I'll break down the differences between the V2 and V3, who should upgrade and who absolutely shouldn't, and the biggest improvements Nuphy is pushing with this new generation. But here's the thing, I discovered a few major issues that could be total deal breakers and might even change how you see Nuphy as a brand. So before you hit buy, make sure you watch this video all the way through. Full disclaimer, this video is not sponsored by Nuphy. The V3 units were sent to me for review, but Nuphy did not pay me to make this video and did not get to review or approve whatever I'm about to say. As always, all opinions are based on my own testing and experience. That said, I did reach out to Nuphy for clarifications whenever I found issues to ensure I get a fair response. I do have an affiliate link with Nuphy, which means you get a discount and I earn a small commission if you use code BENFROMSG at checkout. And with that, let's get into it. Being the earlier releases, the Air 65 and Air 100 V3 comes in an updated packaging box. In all packages, you get the keyboard nicely wrapped, along with an accessory box and user manual, detailing steps to install the rotary knob, RGB settings, along with other keyboard shortcuts. In the accessory box, you get a USB-A to C wire, extra keycaps, 2 knobs, 1 high profile and 1 low profile. No extra switches are provided. Right off the bat, looking at the naming and layout of these keyboards, the biggest difference has got to be the number of keys. The Air V1s and V2s had a lineup of 60%, 75% and 96% or 1800 layouts, whereas the V3s now had a lineup of 65%, 75% and 1800 key layouts. That strangely has 1 less key compared to the V2. Personally, I welcome having more keys, so the 60% layout was never really my favorite. Aside from these obvious differences, I've identified 17 categories of features between the V2 and V3, and here are the similarities and differences. Connection modes are exactly the same. Tri-mode, meaning wireless through a dedicated 2.4 GHz dongle, wired USB-C and Bluetooth 5.1. Wireless and wired have a 1000 Hz polling, whereas Bluetooth at a lower 125 Hz. In the 2 to 3 weeks I've had these keyboards, I haven't had any issues with either the wireless dongle or wired mode. But unfortunately, I haven't used Bluetooth nearly enough to know if there's connectivity issues. Switching between devices on Bluetooth have been seamless otherwise. Battery sizes have remained somewhat the same across all models, but what is different is the length of time each one of these can last. Across the board, there's a dramatic increase in the rated number of hours. Well, since I had to use these keyboards in rotation, I really haven't tested their limits. But what I will say is that in the 2 weeks that I've been using them, averaging about 5 to 6 hours daily, I've yet to recharge them even once. There's a nice little trick which Nuphy did that allowed them to extend their battery life by this much, which we will cover in a little bit. All keyboards work with Mac, Windows, Linux, Android and iOS systems. Linux support is actually underrated here. While it wasn't spelled out in the spec sheet, all keyboards use Nuphy's custom NSA low-profile keycaps that are double-shot PBT. They come in the usual Nuphy branded colors, which can be easily swapped out with the plain white ones that they provide with your purchase. Like the V2s, modding the V3s won't be easy, since the cases use a clip-on system that require you to use extra tools to pry open. If you choose to do so, you risk scratching the case and potentially damaging the clips if not done properly. I would have preferred if they used screws instead that allow me to get in the keyboard more easily, to do things like battery replacements or perhaps removing some foams to tune the acoustics. A big L in my opinion, and I hope Nuphy makes it more customizable in V4. RGB are present in all V3s, like the V2s. No perky RGB still, and the 2 diffused LED accents at the side are now pixelated in design, unlike the older diffused ones. They can show typing speed, caps lock status, battery life, and connection modes, which is pretty cool. Physical toggles are present, so no need to memorize any software shortcuts, just to switch between OS and connection modes. Build quality has largely remained the same. Both have an aluminum top, plastic ABS bottom, but what is different is the mid plate that is now made of polycarbonate instead of aluminum. This impacts not only the typing sound but also the stiffness. Personally, I prefer more flex and softer typing. So remember how battery life saw a huge increase even though battery sizes remain the same? It's all because Nuphy chose to take away QMK and VIA support and instead opt for a proprietary web customizer, Nuphy Air. QMK and VIA is notorious for draining battery, which is why some other keyboard brands with battery sizes above 8000 mAh still do die within weeks. Also, I quite like using a web interface because it means that I don't need to install any sketchy third-party software. However, there are a couple of trade-offs which we will discuss in detail later. Switch choices are significantly lesser, from 7 in V2 down to just 3 in V3. No clickies anymore, and the spring weight range is now severely limited. So there's less room for personalization and experimentation. More importantly, you can't use older Nuphy switches because the V3 uses new Gateron 3.0 nano switches that have a different housing design from 2.0 ones. So you are essentially stuck with just selecting between 3 switch choices. Weight has increased across the board, likely because of more foams, denser materials being used in the casing. Clearly, the Air 65 V3 is the most portable, being the lightest at 635 grams and the least portable being the Air 100 V3 coming at almost a kilogram. Portability isn't a concern for me because I just use these keyboards exclusively at my desk. But I can see how a 100 plus gram increase can be troublesome for those who hot desk frequently. Acoustics wise, the Air V3s now have an additional case foam that the V2s do not. I briefly tried the V1s and V2s some time back and found the V3s to be fuller and deeper sounding. So sorry for the difference in film quality for this particular clip, but I had to record this last minute while I was doing my editing. I always heard this slightly high-pitched tick whenever I press the arrow keys. I thought, well, maybe the switch wasn't looped quite properly. Now, as I'm editing and using the arrow keys more on the Air 96 here, it really got to me, and I took out the keys to get to the bottom of it. Let me show you. So it turns out that there's a metal piece right here that is joined to the frame. Nowhere else on the keyboard is there this metal piece. Every other keys you can see and you can hear is perfectly deep and thocky. So when the keycaps here got pressed, it went too low and constantly tapped on this metal bit. Let me show you. Can you see it? And this only occurs on the Air 96. The Air 65 is perfectly fine and there's no metal pieces randomly being designed here. So honestly, I have no idea what's the functional use of this, but yeah, it's there. As for the typing experience, the V3s feel slightly softer due to the gasket mounting and more flexible polycarbonate plate, as opposed to the previous aluminum one with stiff tray mounts, where everything is bolted down in the V2s. Elevation angles are also very slightly taller across the V3s. Aesthetics-wise, there's a slight change visually, as keycap colors are further simplified, doing away with the grey accents and going for a cleaner, pure white or pure black look. Case colors, however, are lesser too, as Nuphy removed the lunar or grey option and only offers Nova White and Nebula Dark. All V3's keyboard now come with a choice to install an optional knob. Out of the box, you will get a low profile and high profile knob, depending on your preference. The V3s now have a compartment with which you can store the wireless dongle, which is really easy to lose in the V2s that don't have it. Choice of layouts are wider in selection, supporting not only NC but also ISO and GIS across all V3 models, a big win for those in the EU and Japan. Curiously, ISO and GIS are only supported in the Nova white cases and not the black ones. Really weird. If you already like what you see, remember to use code BEN from SG at checkout for a small discount. Up next are some push-pull factors towards influencing your purchase decision. Specs are just specs. Here are a couple of key observations that I thought are pretty crucial in deciding whether or not to purchase the V3s. If battery life is a huge concern, or you find charging your keyboard a hassle, the Nuphy Air series has one of the best battery life out there, period. And that's all thanks to the Nuphy Air implementation that allows the onboard microchip to run in a power-efficient manner. As I mentioned in my previous video, Nuphy Air is a big plus, since not only do you not need to install any third-party software, there are some neat features like integration into Adobe that aren't found in QMK and VIA. So, if you're always on the move and lugging keyboards around to cafes and coffee shops to work remotely, a long battery life is always welcome. Unfortunately, that comes at a cost. Since you are using proprietary firmware, you are at the mercy of Nuphy engineers, who may take some time to release a patch for a very specific problem that only you encounter. Whereas for QMK and VIA, which is open source, you have community support, which came in clutch to solve issues like debound settings in times past. Another thing you may have come across is that Redditors and other reviewers pointed out that going through a web-based interface means that in the off chance that Nuphy goes under, you are left with no way to change key maps, which I found simply untrue because actually you can download a locally deployed Nuphy IO. To do so, go through the following steps. Number 1, go to Nuphy IO. Number 2, choose demo mode. Number 3, select any keyboard. Number 4, click on the gear icon. And number 5, download the standalone installer. At the time of filming this video, the local version of Nuphy IO was already able to detect the unreleased Air 65 and Air 100. I do wish though that the steps to download the standalone installer can be made more easily accessible. But well, it is there. Gateron 3.0 switches are absolute game changers. Although they are low-profile switches, they have the longest key travel out there, which makes it really similar to typing on normal MX switches. I never liked low-profile switches because I enjoy the satisfying tactile feedback, which I can never find in something like an Apple-style scissors keyboard. And Gateron 3.0 just changed it all for me. However, the number and types of switches you can choose from now are much more limited. Gateron 3.0 switches are great, but more weight options beyond the standard 3 are always appreciated. You might prefer heavier or perhaps lighter switches. You might even prefer clicky ones. The point is, there should have been a greater range for people to choose from. The issue is compounded when you realize that unlike normal mechanical switches with a standard MX design, low-profile switches are not standardized in its housing. So you cannot use older Gateron 2.0 switches. You cannot use kill low-profile ones, and you definitely can't use low-free low-profile ones on these Air series keyboards. You literally only have these 3 to choose from. The V2s offered a good variety, so I hope Nuphy can at least supply more in the near future as add-on purchases. I appreciate that Nuphy hasn't raised MSRP by that much, but to be honest, tariffs aren't doing anyone any favors. Gone are the days of the sub $100 budget keyboards, so in my opinion, these V3s are decently priced. Although you might feel otherwise depending on where you're purchasing from. Repairability. This is a huge one. PCBs die over time, and maybe you spilled a drink over your keyboard and need to dry out the PCB and even disconnect the battery. Also, over time, the battery will definitely swell and needs replacing. Perhaps stabilizers need to rebalance or be relubed. All of these show that there is a real need to get into the keyboard to do some basic maintenance, and Nuphy hasn't improved in this aspect. I really hope they make getting into the keyboard easier in their next iteration. I don't know if you can tell on video, but the keycaps yellow over time. It's only been about 7 months since I got this Air 75, and the white keycaps, as you can see, are not that white anymore. I've never experienced PBT keycaps turning yellow, so no idea what's going on here. I can only attribute it to the humid weather in Singapore that might be screwing up the colour. Did I convince you to get one for yourself? Hold on a minute. There are two major concerns that I have while doing preliminary research on the Air V2s. In the past, Nuphy allegedly hasn't handled some customer support cases well. Dead on arrival or DOA units, while not common, do get shipped to customers for whatever reason. Maybe the cargo got too humid, maybe the supplier provided a faulty battery, maybe rough handling physically damaged the keyboard. None of these are a result of user error, and a buyer should rightly get a one-to-one replacement. Outside of these, you will find lots of other issues that people have raised about Nuphy's customer support. So I urgently contacted Nuphy for an answer, and here's what they have to say. We will arrange a replacement if the order is under warranty, and you can provide photos or videos proving the issue is a manufacturing defect. For shipping damages, even though it is not covered under our standard warranty, we will still work with you on a reasonable replacement solution if the damage affects the keyboard's normal functionality. Here's my take. No company and brand is perfect. For every Reddit post or tweet you can find about a bad customer experience, you will find someone else with a positive one. The truth of the matter is that it sucks. It really sucks when it happens to you. And people do get sensitive. But it's not like Nuphy is the only one. Here's what I mean. In the same post talking bad about Nuphy customer support, there's people who strongly recommend Keychron. Sorry Keychron to single you out, but guys, they are not perfect too. Other threads have seemingly exposed their bad quality and after-sales support. Bad customer service always surface because disgruntled people make the most noise, while people with good products just go their merry way. Secondly, there's a real concern with the frequency of Nuphy iOS firmware updates. In the past, Nuphy had been slow to respond to requests for bug fixes, but the community was able to leverage the open source nature of QMK and VIA to work around those bugs. Now that it's closed source, there's a concern that bug fixes will be resolved slower. To be fair to Nuphy, the engineers have been on their toes with the firmware releases of late, and I can only hope that they continue this pace in future. I asked Nuphy about this, and here's what they have to say. We have a dedicated team that monitors and collects feedback from our community, creators and users in real time. Every 2 weeks, we hold meetings to summarize these issues and pass them along to our engineering team. Our engineers prioritize fixes based on how frequently issues are reported and how much they impact the user experience. Rest assured, all valid feedback we receive will be addressed. It's just a matter of scheduling. If users would like to submit feedback, they can reach out to our customer support via email or post directly in our community. We will follow up and assist promptly. Will they honor everything they claimed? Only time will tell. Overall, I feel the Air V3 series is a must-buy, especially if you are in the market for a low-profile keyboard. There's just nothing quite as compelling out there. Huge battery life, great typing experience out of the box, no need to tinker with things to get it to sound and work right. If you're worried about the issues I've raised, it's not as if other brands perform better, and there are bound to be bad apples here and there. Every pain point I mentioned, like repairability, price, switch choices, is also shared by other brands like Low-Free and Iquinix. Therefore, unless you are already experiencing these pain points with an Air series keyboard, there really is nothing performing as well as Nuphy in a low-profile space. Alright, I'm done. Remember to use code BENFROMSG at checkout for a discount if you want to get one for yourself. See ya.